Hello everyone, it's your host Cyber and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys on how to install Windows 11 on the Steam Deck. Now the Steam Deck is actually relatively brand new. It hasn't been a month yet and I'm going to show you on how to install Windows, and I have installed Windows before. And I personally didn't have really the best experience with it until I figured out how to utilize Windows to the full importance, because the worst thing to happen to you is wanting to install Windows and then having things frustrate you because things aren't going the way that you expect. So I'm going to show you guys on how to install Windows, and so here are a few things you need to know before you install Windows. The first thing is you make sure that your battery is at least above 80%. Mine's at 98% because you do not want the Steam Deck to die while installing Windows 11. Because if it dies while installing Windows 11, there is a potential risk of damaging not only your hardware but as well the internal SSD, and you do not want to do that. The second thing is that once you install Windows 11, it will remove everything from your Steam Deck, such as games, save data. So make sure that you have them backed up. My recommendation, in order to save data that is unable to sync with Steam Cloud, is using a program called Decky. Decky is a plugin loader that allows you to load in different plugins and customize your Steam Deck the way that you like. The program that you'll need is called Decky. Plugin you'll need is called Decky Cloud Save. This will save your life in a pinch because it will save your save games through a cloud provider such as OneDrive, Dropbox, and other. So I personally use OneDrive because OneDrive, I don't really use it for much anything else. So it's a great place for me to store my save games. And boom, once every time you exit a game, it will save your data and upload it to the cloud, and you don't have to worry about it. So the next time you need to reinstall SteamOS and you don't want to lose your data, then that's the way to go. So the first thing you'll need, the few things you'll need, is a USB OTG connector. That you can get one. Usually get these with your phone, or you can actually get one for cheap online through eBay or Newegg, however you like it. You will need at least 16 gigabytes of a flash drive. I have a 32 gigabyte here. It's not in pretty good shape, but it does the job. And you could also rely on a hub. This is a 3 USB port hub with 2 HDMI and a display port and 1 VGA out with a USB Type-C cable at the end. This is from Morgan. You can get these online as well, but this is pretty much handy. It won't charge your Steam Deck because it doesn't have any way to charge your Steam Deck through it. So that's why I'm saying you'll need to charge your Steam Deck ahead of time before proceeding with this modification. There's also a big risk when doing this, is that if something happens with your Steam Deck and you're having issues with Windows, do not contact Steam support because they will not offer you help if you have installed Windows beyond the Steam OS. There are some caveats to installing Steam Windows, is that if a BIOS update happens or an important upgrade to the hardware itself, not to the software, is required, you'll need to install SteamOS in order to obtain that new BIOS upgrade. So when that does happen and you do decide to get that new BIOS update, make sure that you back up all your data through a USB flash drive, put them on a computer, so this way you can easily restore it back to factory defaults, and boom, you're done. So the first steps you'll need is you'll need to turn off your Steam Deck. I'm going to go press Steam. I'm going to shut down, and there we go. It's going to start the shutdown process. While that's fully shutting down, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys on how to. I'm going to pull up my Steam OS so I can press the right keyboard. There you go. So I'm going to show you guys on how to do it. So I have a folder, which I have a link to provided, which you can download, and there's different cloud providers, if it's Google Drive or Mega, so you guys can definitely download this and have no issues. You have everything available to you. So what you'll need to do is there's a folder here that you can that have available for you, and it has all the Steam drivers that you need, such as graphics drivers, audio drivers, the SD card drivers, the Bluetooth drivers, and the Wi-Fi drivers. It has every single driver that you will possibly need for this modification. I also have some new programs that you will need to install because the OS we're going to be installing is Tiny 11. This is the latest Tiny 11 available that I have found from NetDev and TDev. So definitely go for this. You have Rufus in here. You have Don't worry about this because this won't be included. This is just when I zipped it up and I started uploading it. You'll have handheld control panel. What this program does is allows you to customize and basically do some overclocking with the CPU and the GPU, allowing you getting more performance when you play a Windows game. As I said, the rest is basically just drivers that you need. You also have handheld companion. This is going to be your best friend because it's going to allow you to basically switch your Steam Deck from desktop to controller. So this way you can avoid confliction and conflicts with both Steam and your Windows operating system. Because the problem that I had yesterday was when I was basically trying to get it working, I didn't know what to do. I had to look on subreddit to ask, hey, how do I fix this? And people were easily to help me. So I'm going to show you this video so this way you can understand what I'm doing. So this will basically allows you to convert your controller into an Xbox controller or PS4 controller, however you like. And it's way easier because you can set hotkeys, such as you can set the 3 bars right under the right trackpad to where you opens the virtual keyboard, and it's just dandy. It's amazing, and it's way better than the Steam Deck's keyboard because the keyboard can actually go halfway the screen, which can be a pain in the ass. So the next program I have in here is called Opera GX Setup. This is going to be their best friend because Tiny 11 does not come with a browser installed. It comes completely removed. So I chose Opera GX Setup, Opera GX, because you can limit the amount of RAM that you're giving the operating system. So that unlike Microsoft Edge, once you install Microsoft Edge, you can't remove it unless you delete the files completely. So since it doesn't have that, you can immediately install Opera GX, and you can basically just change the RAM limit to at least 2 or 3 gigs. So this way it's not using as much RAM as you intended. The next application that I have included in the zip is a app called Quick CPU. What this allows you to do is forcing Windows and the hardware to use all your CPU's cores and pull out the full best performance out of it. So this way you can enhance your gaming experience whenever you're playing any video game that's basically graphic or CPU intensive. Beyond that, you don't really need anything else. There are also other tools like Steam Deck tools and stuff like that you can utilize, but I personally would stay away from Steam Deck tools, and I'm going to explain to you why. I've tried using Steam Deck tools, and they're pretty cool, but they're also very complex to use. I just don't like them. They don't give you a lot of customization, and personally, I would stay away from altering the fan controls because this one the handheld control panel allows you to change the fan control, but I would leave that alone simply because that anti-cheat simply can detect whether if you're changing the fans, and I have no idea why it does that, but it's just freaking annoying, and I don't want to mess with it. So if you're looking for if you're unsure whether if this is going to trip an anti-cheat with a game such as Call of Duty or any other game that had like BattleEye, you don't have to worry because everything in here is not going to get you banned unless you in the handheld companion there is a setting and a control panel where there's a setting where you could alter the fan's speed. I would leave the fan speed unless you know what you're doing, and beyond that I haven't really seen any throttling when it comes to video games. The games I've played like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is one of them, so I would highly recommend you that. So when you actually run Rufus, you're going to see this screen. When you plug in your flash drive, you're going to see that your flash drive shows up. You will select the the tiny ISO, it will automatically select everything what you need, and it'll make the tiny label, etc., etc. Leave everything by default. Do not change the cluster size. Do not change the file system. Do not change the partition scheme unless if it says MBR for you, making sure it's on GPT. And that's basically it. Once it actually starts, it will ask you, it will create a window. You want to allow TPM to be enabled because TPM is supported on the Steam Deck. So you make sure that you do not have that enabled. You can enable the rest. Just make sure TPM is enabled. This way you can avoid any issues when it comes to Windows in the future. Once you actually have it installed, if you previously used your flash drive to install any SteamOS on your Steam Deck, it's going to tell you that there's multiple partitions that needs to be formatted. The best way to do this is to let it format, then stop the process, and then go into your control panel, go into System and Security, go to Format Disk Partitions, and then scroll down. And what you want to do is you want to delete every single partition. If it's already deleted by the program, which I highly recommend using this to do that, it will automatically do it its own. Stop the process after when I was copying the files, and then just delete the partition, and then boom, you're done. Delete the partition, create a new partition. It will say raw at first, so you just format it into FAT32, and then boom, now you can start flashing the ISO for Tiny11, and it should work. Because the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because I have I had difficulties every time I didn't do this, where I just let Tiny11 flash without actually doing what I had to do. And whenever I put it in my Steam Deck, it would take so long to boot. Sometimes, most of the time, it would not boot. So this way, it prevented this to boot. So when I did it the way I did, where I would have Rufus delete the partition, because Linux, there's one partition that you can't delete. You can delete the rest. You just can't delete the 64 megabyte one, and it's going to be very annoying because Tiny11 will try to format that one, but then not allocate that partition correctly. So that's when you try to plug it in your Steam Deck, the OS never boots, because it shouldn't take that long to actually load up into the Windows 11 installer. Just so if it does go over 5 minutes of going to install it, then that means something's wrong with your install and you need to try again. Alrighty, so now we got that acquitted. Now, in your Tiny11, I would create an extras folder. You want to make an extras folder because you want to make sure that you have everything that you have copied. You just make sure that you go into when you create the extras folder in your flash drive. Just copy all the files that I have that I included in that zip or 7-zip, and put them in here, and you'll be done. Now, you could use a mouse and keyboard for this, so I'm going to show you guys on how to do that. I'm going to show you guys on how to install it. So once you actually have all the drivers, you have everything ready, make sure that you have everything here. You could also include Steam, which I did not include, but since you can get that on your own. There's also I did not include this one. I will include a link to Memory Duct. So Memory Duct is an application. If you don't know, I should have included that in the zip, but I didn't. So I apologize. But I'll have a link to that GitHub where you can actually download this. And basically, what Memory Duct is, it allows you to force manage the RAM. So say. So say you want to go ahead and you don't want the RAM to go a certain amount of percentage, and the most RAM that Steam Deck is going to use is around 33% of once you install OS, it's going to use about 2.2 gigabytes to 2.5 gigabytes of RAM. That's the rest of the manual. That's how it usually is. But when you start installing all these applications, the max that I've seen the Steam Deck go is up to 33%. It never goes higher than that, but you can use Memory Duct to manage RAM to see how much. If it's using a certain amount of RAM, you can actually limit it and change the percentage of it, and you can also do it manually, which is perfect. So if you want to go to Steam, I would suggest heading to the Steam website. Go and get the exe ahead of time because you're going to need this immediately. Once you actually install the Steam, download the Steam, I would highly recommend you to just immediately just move that into the extras folder. So this way you have everything pre-set up and you don't have to do it on your Steam Deck already. You just use your touchscreen to click and install the Steam, and then boom. If you want to use a keyboard, you can use the on-screen keyboard. You can set that up in the settings. I will show you that momentarily. So you guys can definitely do that. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys on how to install this. Now we have everything set up. We can close. We can disconnect our drives, and now we can head over and go to our Steam Deck. So now I have my Steam Deck right here. I'm gonna tilt my camera a little bit down so you guys can see. It looks kind of weird, doesn't it? All right, so I have it in this position. I'm sorry if it looks weird. So now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to take our USB OTG. We are going to plug that bad boy in just like this. It should look like that. If you have a hub, it works as well. We're going to disconnect our charger because I might plug it in early because it was dead this morning. We're going to plug it into the Type C port, and what we're going to do is we are going to hold the volume plus button. Press that down first, and then you just got to press the power button once. You will hear a chime, and it will now enter into the bootloader. The bootloader will now you'll see 4 options, and what you want to do is you want to select boot manager. I know you can't see on the screen, but boot manager, and then you will now see your USB drive. It should be the third one to the bottom, and click that. Select that and just wait. This can take some time depending on how fast your USB storage is, and yeah, it's not that bad. It actually will be pretty fast. Once it loads, I'm gonna show you guys on how to do that. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, it loaded up into the Windows installation. I'm going to have to move my camera a little bit. I'm sorry, because we're now in landscape mode. So when you actually get into the installation, I can't lower the bright screen of this, so I do apologize. Let me adjust the camera. All right. So now when you get into Windows, you're going to get into the install folder. It's going to ask you to confirm. Once you do that, you're going to see a bunch of partitions. I know you guys can't see. I'm going to try as my best. You guys can see it's kind of blurry, but there we go. You're going to see I have it angled. But you're going to see a bunch of partitions. All you need to do is delete every single partition. Do not leave a single partition alone. So you just go here, click delete, as confirm, and do this for every single partition. I have heard people you can do the dual boot thing, but I highly disregard installing Windows on a SD card. And I'm going to explain to you why. Since 10.11 is only going to use roughly around 8 gigabytes of storage space, you do not need to worry about losing that storage space, because as a matter of fact, it's actually using probably less than what the SteamOS uses. So that once you have each partition deleted, you just have one single unallocated space. All you're going to do is you're going to click OK. It's going to install process, and it's going to do anything. I would highly recommend you to not disturb the flash drive from your Type C port, because if you do, I've had this happen to me once, and it gave me a jump scare. It gave me a panic attack because I could not get this to working anymore. I could not get the installer to work. I had to reflash the flash drive. So what happens if you disturb the flash drive is that the screen is going to go black. When you try to boot it again, it's not going to do anything. And then when you try to plug it back in, it's not going to. You're going to notice it's going to take longer to boot than it was. Actually, when I did this part, I actually booted up that fast. So by the time I ended that video clip, and then I do this clip, it was kind of. It was very detrimental. So yeah, you don't want to go through the steps of having to reflash the flash drive on your computer, and then having to do all that steps where you have to transfer every single driver and stuff like that back onto the flash drive, and that will really suck. And trust me, it takes me probably a lot of time. I spent 6 a.m. trying to do it, and it wasn't great. And now this isn't going to damage your Steam Deck. You just have to reflash the flash drive, but as comes with risks, comes with, danger. So it's already at 73%. And the reason why I'm saying is because it's much more efficiently to do this way than just doing dual booting, is because It's going to install much more faster because it's on an SSD, so you're not going to have to worry about slow loading times when you're trying to install this onto an SD card. Trust me, it's going to save your ass. So it's at 91%, 93%, and it's usually pretty fast. Usually the install is pretty fast. It's not slow, and I'm pretty impressed how fast it's installing because versus my computer, it would take some time, even though I have an SSD. So this is pretty nice. All right, now I was going to do the last bit of it, and usually the last parts of it after doing the installation, it's like that. So as it's already installing updates, and then it's going about to finish up. Alrighty, there you go. Now we can start. Now, once the screen turns black, you can now disconnect the flash drive and put it off to the side. Now, it will be still sideways. I'm gonna have it this way. It's still gonna be sideways. It just looks it doesn't, but it's gonna be sideways. And I'm gonna show you guys how to fix that. All right, it's getting services ready. Doesn't that black screen beautiful? All right. Well, now don't format this drive yet if you're going to use it for another purpose, because you still need this because you still need to install the programs still that you copied earlier on this flash drive. So it's getting ready. Shouldn't take long, and it's going to go through a process where you just name the computer and stuff like that. When I instructed you earlier about you can skip your Microsoft account and stuff like that, enabling TPM and security thing is very crucial because I've seen Windows act very angry, like it would just have behavioral issues if you turn TPM off. So having TPM enabled is going to make Windows happy. I don't know why, it just does. This is a personal experience. Even though because I have disabled it on a computer that has TPM, so I mean, it's gonna wild ride. All right, so it's gonna start booting now. It's gonna probably doing a reboot. So usually this is pretty much normal. Alrighty, that's good news. Now the only thing you have to concern about this is that if it doesn't boot, is that your drive either that bad did or just been damaged from the install. So you can either reflash the OS and stuff like that, but beyond that, nothing should happen. Now while this is happening, there are some good advantages and disadvantages when it comes to using Windows. When it comes to Windows, it can be very atrocious when it comes to certain software, like it for certain things. Like if you're choose to use big picture mode, basically what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to see your battery percentage. You'll see your Wi-Fi, but you'll see things as is, like if you saw SteamOS, but you won't see them as if there was SteamOS. So you will see. I mean, let me put my password in because I do not want my password. Because I don't want people using my videos to get my password to my router. All right. So when you use big picture mode, it works exactly as if you were using SteamOS. But the only difference is that you can't see a better percentage. Games you can't see on while you're in the library to either if they're supported or by the Steam Deck or not, because you are on Windows, everything is pretty much compatible. You just have to see whether if it will run on a Steam Deck or not. And that's pretty much it. And some games like Call of Duty, specifically Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the 2022 version, of Modern Warfare 2, you will have to launch that to desktop mode. I tried launching it to big picture mode, and what would happen? It would just go back to big picture mode. But then when you actually go in the desktop and you launch it from there, it actually launches like that. I don't know if you have to do that just the first time or the first time setup or not, because I have no idea. All right, I'm gonna name this CyberDev. I'm not going to put a password. You don't have to put a password. The reason I'm not going to put a password is because I like the aspect of my Steam Deck auto logging in. I'm just gonna include all this. Actually, no. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna disable that. They only need to require it only. I don't really care about the rest. Um. So I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So yeah, like programs like that, you're gonna have to like load up your own up to the desktop, and that's perfectly fine if you like it. So what I recommend you is in the handheld companion, I would highly recommend you changing this button. This is the R4 button to your controller and desktop button. Um, the reason is because it's easier because you're going to have your hands like this, and you're going to have your second finger, your middle finger on that button, and it's much more comfortable just pressing that one versus pressing your other button when you have to do every time. So like when you're going to big picture mode, you would press the R4 button to switch from your desktop to a controller. So this way, when Steam loads up, it doesn't duplicate controllers. It's way convenient. So still, this usually doesn't take long, and this is a really long process. So I know this video is going to be very long. And if you guys want to see me do a review on this video, I can do that. Let me know. Usually, this is the part where it's about to be finished. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Alrighty, it just finished, which is almost there. Now it's going into the Windows desktop. Now to fix this, to fix the landscape, you'll need to go into settings. Your touchscreen will work, so you don't have to worry about this. You will go down into down to display, go to display orientation, and change it to landscape. Keep changes, and now that it is now in landscape mode. As you can see, everything works fine. You can't use your analog sticks yet. You can use your trackpad, as you can see here. I would recommend you can't even use that, but you would R2 would be your like your left click, and then the other one would be your right mouse click. You would click that, change it to 100% because you want to make sure that everything looks good. Alrighty, so the next thing I want you to change in the setting. Let me go into the settings. Is you'll need to go into accessibility. Go into where is the keyboard. Then you will need to go to on-screen keyboard. Not on-screen keyboard. There's a setting in here. I forgot which setting it was. On-screen keyboard, online access. I completely forgot that button because I did it earlier and I did it last time when I did this. All right. Text, cursor, mouse pointer, and touch. What in bloody heck is that thing? Okay, I'm going to have to. All right, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry about that another day. That's the patience I don't have right now. But there is a way to enable on-screen menu. It was a setting that I forgot where it was, and it's just I have a brain fart, so I don't want to waste your time. So we're going to head and plug into your USB flash drive back into your Steam Deck. And now it's what's going to happen is going to show here. You want to click on that. You can use either your controller or the on screen. Open the view files. Then go into the. We're going to go into the. We're gonna zoom this open. Open this. We're going to go to the extras folder. Remember that the screen is going to be much more smaller when you look at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to head ahead and we are going to start. We're going to install the handheld companion. The handheld companion is the best way to install first. I would recommend you installing that first, simply because if anything happens, actually first install your browser first, because I forgot when you install it for the first time, it's going to try opening your browser to download that software. So open, accept, install. We'll just start downloading Opera GX. You don't have to copy anything to your Steam Deck yet, if you don't want to. Alright, it's almost done. It's still downloading. It's going to start. It's going to launch. Now, the reason why I'm telling you to install the browser first is because once it launches, all you gotta do is just close the browser. You don't really need more right now. We can always configure it later. So now go into Handheld Companion. Launch it. I would recommend you. I have the offline version on there because it has everything offline instead of going online. So if you don't have internet at the moment, you're fine. Now the great thing about Tiny 11 is that it comes with the drivers for Wi-Fi. Now you still will need to update them, of course, but the greatest thing is that it's already preset set. So as you can see, that's why it asked me, do you want to set up Wi-Fi connection? Simply because it's already set up. If you install like something like Go Spectre, you will have to install the Wi-Fi driver no matter what, so you would have to have that included. So that's why I provided the Tiny 11 OS for you, and yeah, it's brilliant. So it's going to do all this installation. You can skip the video. You guys can skip the videos if you need to get to certain parts if you really need to. This is just installing and showing you how the process is going to be. So when you actually go do it yourself, you know exactly what to expect. So this way, you know what to do in case something happens. Usually no issues with this, but it's going to install everything it needs to run. And I'm going to show you guys on how to set up the preset buttons, because when I first did this first time, I actually was very confused and I didn't know what to do. So I was like, once I figured it out, I'm like, man, I bet lots of people are freaking struggling with this. All right, we're not going to restart the computer. We're not going to restart. Actually, we're not going to restart it right now. What we're going to do is we're going to open Quick CPU. We're going to install that bad boy. We're going to accept the agreement. Install. We're going to launch that thing. Now, the coolest thing about Quick CPU is that you don't have to do anything. You could just set it to where you can set it to where it launches every time your system boots. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually install the Wi-Fi drivers. So we want to install the Wi-Fi drivers. You go over to this file right here where I'm hovering, hopefully right here, and then right click on it and then click install. You want to do this one first, and then it's going to stay operating complete successfully. And then you want to go for the next one. Next one is right here. And then the file that you need to install is right here. Click that, right click, mouse click that, and then click install. And you can see I have no keyboard or mouse, so I can pretty much do this without a mouse and keyboard. If you played with the PSP years ago, then you don't really need a keyboard. Because everything in the PSP back then in the day. All right, so now to get the audio working, will need to install the graphics driver, but we're not going to do that right now. We are going to now gonna take this. We're gonna copy the control panel. We're gonna copy it. We're gonna copy that. We're just gonna put it in documents, so we don't have to go into like program files and just do that there. Alrighty, so we can now actually launch. We can actually launch this one. You can see it. Scrolling doesn't even work right now. So control panel, launch it, and we're gonna send this puppy to desktop. An any exception handled occurred. This is a beta, so it's gonna things like this might happen. So it should launch. If it doesn't launch, that's okay. We can just try again when we reboot. So now I'm gonna close this window. All right, I'm gonna close this one. Now we're in quick CPU, and you'll see how the values are at 10%, 5%, 40%. Well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go into right over here, if the camera, right here, and click max performance. It will pop up this window. You just click accept, and now it will show you all your stats, so your temperature, it will show you the utilization and the speed, current speed. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that this boots is go over here to options, scroll down to start application on system startup. You also want to click it again, system tray, click system tray, then minimize the system tray, and then minimize to system tray when you're closing. So in case you close it, it doesn't close and shut off, because once it shuts off, anything you applied goes back to stock. So then for me, I like turning off the CPU to show everything that's in here, simple because because every time I go over it, it's just going to show me that, and I don't want to go into the application. It can be a pain in the ass. All right, so now you can now close this out, and you'll notice that Windows is a little bit faster. Yeah, we'll notice. Sorry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into Tiny 11. We're going to go into extras. We're going to go ahead and install Steam. We're going to run Steam. And while we're at it, while that happens, we're going to go install some of the drivers. You want to make sure to install some of the drivers and make sure I have all the drivers updated. If you can technically use AMD's driver software to update any additional drivers, which I highly recommend you do anyways, because, you know, it's not going to hurt it. Trust me, I've done it. Not going to hurt it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go in. We're going to install the Bluetooth driver. We're going to go over the install driver file. We're going to right click it. We're going to go and run that as administrator and install it. Let's install the Bluetooth driver. I mean, I think the only thing installing by like custom the drivers from AMD is like some of the drivers that you have just disappear, and I don't know how important that is, but I would suggest not to do that if you're not curious, if you're courageous enough. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go run this as administrator. This is the Wi-Fi driver. And you'll notice once you're on Steam, my mouse stopped working. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go log in to my Steam. So give me a moment, guys. All right, I gotta log in. Yes, I'm in Steam. I love the app. It's amazing. It should show it's sending me in. I don't know why it's not sending me in. But that's okay. If it doesn't send me in, that's bad. Oh, there we go. All right, so your Steam will start working again, and you can start using your mouse pad as normal. But there is a reason why we need the handheld companion. So we're gonna go back to there. And I'm going to show you guys this because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, my screen's black. This is perfectly normal. What's going to happen, it's going to uninstall the driver. The screen will go black, but that's perfectly fine. I'll show you guys what you can do if that happens. It's okay. So it's gonna do the compatibility. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see, does it require we're gonna go install, full software install. This will take time, so I will show you guys when it does finish. So unfortunately, it didn't really give me a black screen, but if it does give you a black screen, just wait about 5 minutes before you actually go ahead and do it, and then just restart the force turn off the system, reboot, and then try again. Usually for this time, it didn't decide to do that, so I'm kind of lucky. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see if there's any other drivers that needs to be installed. Apparently, actually, I pretty know that I installed every single thing. So we're gonna go ahead and close this. We're gonna go ahead and restart our Steam Deck. Updates are going to be underway. They are installing everything else. And so once it reboots, it's going to reboot. And then, I'm sorry, this is a very long video. I haven't really anticipated how long this video, but I wanted to make sure that everyone gets a full-on experience of how long it can take for all this to happen, for all this to go through. Because the amount of time that you're seeing here is probably almost real time. It's just only a few cuts off of videos just by a short few seconds. So it's roughly around the time that you see this. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go into load. Actually, I have to turn that. Make sure you turn off also the startup for Opera. That can be annoying every time you boot up Opera. So we're gonna go ahead and open Handheld Companion. This little orange screen is going to pop up, and it's going to pop into a wonderful window. Actually, we can actually unplug the flash drive. We no longer need the flash drive unless we're going to install the rest of the programs. So we're going to go and hide. We're going to go ahead and hide the Steam Deck. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to Hotkeys. So, in hotkeys is basically assigning different keys of your Steam Deck to do certain actions. So, what we're going to do is we're going to head over. We're going to scroll down until we see Display Touch Keyboard right there. What you want to do is you want to set this key right here, your display touch key. It's going to say click, but that's what you want to set, because what you want to do is if you want to say you want to open your keyboard, you can do that instantly and press it again to close it. And it's going to be way more convenient than just doing Steam and then X just to open the keyboard, which covers like half of your screen, and that doesn't. The next thing you want to do is you want to go head over to hide and to display and hide the desktop. But before I want to go into making sure that is the only. Okay, no, not to desktop layout. So you want to go to desktop layout, and you want to go here and you want to set R4 to that button. It's going to say click, but that's fine. It already knows. If you want to make sure you can do it again, and it's going to work just as fine. So when you actually switch between both of them, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to settings first. We're going to go ahead and go into scroll down. Should be an options where you can set automatically. Set just to service automatic. And then you should be all good to go. Make sure you sit close to minimize, so if you actually close it, it doesn't shut down the program. I want to open it in the background, auto start application, and you'll be good to go. Now you can start the service. And now, whenever you switch the key profile, you will now no longer notice that your mouse now stops working, because right now I turned it into a controller. I turned it into controller mode. So it tells the computer saying, hey, I'm in controller mode, so I don't have a mouse or keyboard plugged in. Of course, other function toggles will still work. But what if you want to go back into desktop mode? You press that same key again, and your keys start working. This way, it's not going to interfere. This is going to be the most important part, because if you're the one that has been having trouble with switching from both keyboard from Steam to a controller, this is for you, because you know why? Because if you, instead of just having to, like, when you want to use big picture mode, which I personally love using, um, you don't have to worry about having, like, whenever you press the menu where it says library and stuff like that, and you start pressing the D-pad, it will start skipping multiple ones, and then when you turn on the control mode, it turns off that, so this way it's not using duplicate controllers, and you can finally use your D-pad, and it's freaking amazing. Now, there are a few caveats to this. You have to make sure that, um, one, you have to make sure that the companion is enabled and installed as automatic. The second thing is, don't try to install duplicate applications like Steam Deck tools, because it can be very bad for you to specifically trying to install two programs that can do the exact same thing. Because what you don't know is that Steam Deck tools does work, but handheld companion does it better. And I don't know why, but it just does. So now we're gonna head over. We're gonna hold, and we're gonna click this. We are gonna launch this. And I do have a caveat to this, is that, like, if admin prompt pops up or something like that, you're going to have to click on it manually through the touchscreen. You can't use your mouse keyboard. It's just doesn't work. I don't know why, but I'd rather have that. And it's only a small thing. It's a small thing I don't like, but it's with Windows. It happens to anything. So now you'll see that it's working fine. So this is the handheld control panel, and this is amazing because you can control a lot of things with this. You can change the turn on the Bluetooth. We're gonna turn off the Bluetooth because I don't really need Bluetooth right now. So you can change the volume, you can turn brightness, you can change the resolution, you can display scaling. We're going. You can change this to. You can actually change it to 150. Oh, we see runtime time in here, so yep, that's to be expected. All right, so things that don't work, you're gonna need. So for TDP, I set this. What I do, I set this all the way to the max, and then the EDP I put it all the way to 100%. Then you can keep that the way it is. GPU clock, we're gonna max that out. I'm personally, this is for max performance. I don't really care about battery life for right now. So then we're gonna head over. We're gonna go look through each option, which one you can also look see which one worked for you. Because they're about. You can go here. This is the settings. You want to click auto start. So the auto start fan control, I would not leave. I would keep that disabled because no. So we're gonna because I want to get bad for the game. All right. So for min TDP, we're gonna put 15 watt. Our max GPU, I'm gonna put this at 1600. Actually, you can't over. I might actually overclock this a little bit. So I'm gonna put this around 2000 mHz. So we're gonna go down here. You could also, like, you need to install RTTS FPS. I really haven't done that, so you'll probably have to install that on your own. And then it has other things like cut dead zone, and then boom, hide. We're gonna go ahead and hide that, so this way it's out of the screen. Now, if I go into Task Manager, we will notice the max memory is using right now is 3.3 gigabytes with 8.5 gigabytes available. There is a way to fix this. You can eliminate that to the page memory. So we're gonna go. I'll show you guys how to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go into. We're gonna go into here. We're gonna go search up control panel. You can use your fingers if you want to. I just like using the mouse. It just feels much more smooth that way. You could also, I'm going to also pin this to the taskbar so I don't have to look for it again. So we're going to go ahead and system and security, view amount of RAM and processor speed, advanced system settings. This, we're going to go into our RAM paging, turn off automatically merging pages, set custom size. We're going to set this to around 4096. 4096 is exactly 4 gigabytes. And then the last, for the maximum size, we're gonna be putting 8 gigabytes. You can't just put 4 gigabytes inside, but I'm gonna put 8 gigabytes, so that's the max I can go. So that's 8192, because you're going to binary, Windows can understand. So 8,992. That's 8 gigabytes in total. Click set. Then click OK. It will tell you in order to change that the changes you've made required you to restart your computer before they take effect. That's just say OK. For this problem, we can actually fix this by going into System, Display, and then just temporarily put this into. Actually, wait. Would it? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's why it's 125%. That's why. Click Apply. Click OK. Click OK. And then restart. So now, this is the end of the video. I don't really have much to show you as much, but if you do, I do have a warning. If you do end up sending into Microsoft account, if you want to avoid where you have to set a PIN, you'll have to install Microsoft Edge and then sign up through there. This way, it avoids of you having to create a PIN. Unfortunately, that kind of does suck. But if you do create a PIN, that's fine too, because you know what? When you touch the screen, the on-screen keyboard automatically comes up without having to press this. So that's pretty amazing. Beyond that, that's pretty much how you set up Windows. And yeah, so I would recommend you. Yeah, you can just do that, and that's amazing. Everything will work, and I can show you guys. Let Steam boot before I ended the video. And then I'm sorry this video is very too long. I know this is a very long process, and yeah, it can take up to probably an hour to get this all set up. And all you gotta do is install your games. That's pretty much it. Man, it's installing an update. It's interesting. Usually Steam doesn't take like, there we go, now it's done. So everything works. You can use your trackpad to click. I'm going to dismiss that because I don't want to. And the only time you want to sign into Microsoft account is if you want to play Xbox Game Pass games. So, and the great thing about this is because since I'm going to be using, I'm going to actually go back into. Actually, hold on. I'm going to go into here because I already have it launched. So I'm going to right mouse click it, main window, and I'm going to switch this to an Xbox 360 controller because most games support that anyways. And then we'll just close this. As you can see, it's still open because we have that thing. Is if I want to switch it to like desktop mode, there you go, to controller mode. So now we're going to go ahead and then we're going to show you guys how this worked with the Steam Deck, with the big picture mode. So we're going to go ahead into big picture mode. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean by if you don't press that button to switch. All right, so this screen may be a little bit much more smaller, but you can fix that. You can just go, we'll just go here. Actually, see how it doesn't work. It doesn't even want to work. The Steam button doesn't want to work. So you can see how it works now, but it's weird how it works now. But that's why. Because if I did this, like, it wouldn't work. I don't know why it's not working, but it's working now. I guess what I did before, because usually, see if I click my percentage, it would just flick around. So I guess what I just did, I guess may help you Because usually this is not how it works. It would just act up completely, and I guess that fixed it. I'm assuming so. So I guess you won't have any issues. But if you do have any issues, just make sure that when you go into big picture mode, you just make sure that you turn off desktop mode and you put the control mode. So we're going to increase that large. And we're going to disable Blackfish Restart Steam. And there you go. You get everything ready for you. You get Windows ready. You don't have to worry about, losing decoration. And trust me, all these modifications is all you need for Windows. I know there's a lot of projects out there that try to claim you can performance, but trust me, if you have handheld mode, control panel, handheld companion, control panel, and then you have quick CPU, you can put the whole full performance out of this thing and turn this thing into a whole fully aspect gaming PC. I swear. And I can tell you, everything's gonna boot. As you can see, like if I go to look how fast big picture mode closes without the mods, this would go super slow. So I mean, I have to like turn. I don't know why this is not working, but okay. We're gonna fix that. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Probably will tell you in the comments how to fix this. Oh, there you go. Guide fixes Steam. I broke something. I broke something. I broke something. We're gonna go to the big picture mode. And because that's not supposed to happen, and it's so weird. All right. So let's see how that. Desktop layout, vibrant controller, edit profile, hotkeys. Yeah, I remember doing this yesterday. I don't know why it's not acting up, but this is an experience for both of us, all of us. That's actually going to be useful, dude. There. That's so weird. Okay, I guess we will see. Okay, see that now. See that. Let's check out that now. I guess I'm not working. Well, if you guys did enjoy this video, that's pretty much it. But if this fixes your issue, let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.